potentially stronger now that Zoe falls off. People don't care as much about the Nocturne or Kindred, and you get to go ahead and counterpick, as well as now have those target bans.
We've also just, even before 816, we've been seeing teams start to utilize red side more intelligently, more focus on those counterpicks, as you were saying. If you can get a lane-dominant matchup, it could erase a lot of that disadvantage you had through the bans. Now that the disadvantage in bans is not even really there, I think it does make more and more sense, especially when we saw how well some of these guys can perform.
Well, 6 bans done there. Quickly, Akali, Olaf, Braum, Tom, Kent, Rakan, and Varus. So a little change there for TSM, but once again, Ryze first pick for Damonte.
And the change for TSM pays off because they hit ban Syndra in that spot as well. And if you're first picking Ryze, you're showing for the whole best of 5. They're going to prioritize Ryze over Syndra for Damonte as a first pick. And so that actually gives TSM a lot of information here. TSM are definitely feeling themselves because this is the first game that they've taken off Echo Fox. This split, Fox were 3-0 against them, and the last time they played before this was that 25-minute tiebreaker stomp for Echo Fox.
I'm also really excited to see, does he just blind Kai'Sa again? We saw Thinkard say, that was very disrespectful. We hit him with the counter pick. We're going to slam him. Well, it did not work out at all. If you can get away with that late game scaling pick, maybe Sven is just comfortable to do it each and every time until Lost shows him, nope, can't get away with it.
And then they might go for the Draven, plus maybe a more aggressive support here instead of the Tahm Kench. Something like an Alistar would pair up quite well alongside it.
Yeah, or even a range support, right? Things like that can be very powerful. It is more risky. We're seeing such a high priority on tank supports, but there is also that possibility.
Well, we'll see, but it looks like I do like this as well from Echo Fox. They're going to run it back. They'll change up the support, of course, with Tahm Kench ban. So Smoothie going to lock in a pretty famous champion for him. It is Alistar.
It's always funny when you see this. Like, there's two ways to look at it, right? It's either confidence or it's desperation. It's one or the other. Like, do you think that, hey, there was this little thing that went wrong and we will fix it and we will blast this matchup in game 2? Or is it, well, we lost, but there's nothing better, so this will make us lose the lead, right? And you have to kind of see them perform in this matchup, because I feel like if you go down 2-0 with 80 counterpick both games,
you have to rethink your counterpicks and rethink your draft completely, because then they would probably swap to red side and figure that out, maybe go Kai'Sa themselves, but regardless, that's not what's going on right now. That's for the future. Right now, Bjergsen locks in that Syndra, the signature pick for him. If Bjergsen ever had a signature pick, it is that Syndra that they didn't ban this time because they thought Damonte would take it, and now that's a big thing that the Draven has to worry about.
It really is, and even just Damonte in this 1v1, you gave Bjergsen one of his best historical picks. He has slammed on it internationally in North America. He has been very, very good on it. He does get the counter pick. We'll see if Damonte can be a bit more effective this game on the rise. He had a decent game. I think he was good with his map pressure, and I think was a big part of the reason they were up a lot of turrets. But you need to get that Draven rolling, it really feels like, to have that late game team fight effectiveness.
Looks like the plan is continuing though for Echo Fox. They're trying to make this bot lane the best it can be. 2 top lane bans there for TSM with Gangplank and Rumble, and a Morgana ban there for Fox. They're just trying to kind of punch down with his champion pool.
That, to me, these bans from TSM are telling me that Honster wants to play a tank this time around. When you see the GP and that Rumble kind of blind banned, it's not like he's not going to have a response to it. So that tells me that TSM in this next pick are going to pick their top laner and then leave their support for last. So we'll see if that happens.
Another thing to consider here too is when you have Trundle, you want the enemy to play a tank top. So you want to remove GP, you want to remove Rumble, and you potentially want to pick Gnar for yourself so that he doesn't have that champion and you have somebody to steal stats from. Because a counter to Rumble is don't have anybody be tanky on your team, and then he has no stats to really steal with his ultimate.
There's actually a nub ban though, so TSM will not have that option there for Haunter, who had a very good game. We talked about the matchup historically, looking surprisingly good for Haunter, a player that has really carried TSM through a lot of their seasons and a lot of their wins. So we'll see if he can get something else done, but for now, it's Shen again.
Yeah, likely Shen support, so we could still see the mix-up, and with Gnar off the table, maybe we will still see a carry versus carry style matchup in the top lane. Some of the high-priority ones were banned away, as you said. Huni still could go to something like a Camille if he wanted along those lines, but Cho'Gath being locked in is always going to feel very good for that Trundle, especially because of how much extra HP you actually build up from the Feast. The amount of healing you get in those team fights is absurd late game.
Yeah, it's kind of a Trundle dream. If you don't have a Sejuani to steal like armor and MR from her passive, you might as well go for the highest HP champion in the entire game, right? So, yep, that'll definitely buff up Grig a whole bunch in these fights, and it's kind of what TSM were banning for.
Kindred.
And he still gets Kindred even though it's very far down. And Normally it was a ban on 8:15, but people kind of let it go to the wayside in favor of target bans.
And I like this quite a bit. Dardoch, putting him back on a carry, give him the ability to take over these games, be that big damage source. He was a playmaker in the first game, but if your carries are not following up on that, not able to actually knock down those targets, you're not going to be able to win the team fights. In this game, they have engaged from the Alistar. They have the front line with the Cho'Gath, double marksman composition too.
And he's somebody who, even in the Eyes On, talks about he wants to be a big force in the games. He wants to be somebody who carries, has a bit of what people will call an ego. But in that last game, when it felt like he got his team an advantage, he's not able to carry them, swaps it up to a carry, and now he's saying, get on my back, Echo Fox, because Huni may not be having the best day right now, so I need to step up as our #1 carry.
I'm going to be very interested to see how this Kennen does. Is it going to be AD? Is it going to be AP is my first question. If you go AD, you have a superior matchup against this Cho'Gath in the lane, but then it's harder to team fight. So you can go either option, and with Syndra here being a big source of magic damage, we could see Sven going back to the physical damage Kai'Sa build, so there is some flexibility there.
Personal preference would be Kai'Sa AP, Kennen AD. Even though I personally hate Kennen as AD, I think it's just too much of a linear play style. It's very counterable, but I never, ever, ever want to play AP Kennen versus Alistar. Because he is just going to punch you out of every fight.
Yeah, Kindred not helping you there either, as the coaches will shake hands. I think in general, though, Hauntzer being put in a position where he can have similar leverage. He really kept TSM in a lot of the early to mid game where they were getting pressure in the other two lanes. His individual performance versus Huni is something we'll continue to chart here in this game.
I mean, both Hauntzer and Huni, going to feel somewhat snubbed, not making it to the top 3 top laners of the split. These are guys who were perennial contenders to be considered the absolute best. They want to return to that form, and starting a good playoff run here is the way to do it.
They've both been considered #1 and 2 back and forth in all pro voting. There were even times where Hauntzer Huni conversation for MVP, and here, like you said, not in the top 3 for top laners this split.
I think in general for both these teams, a lot to prove here. Huni, again, wanting to not have a quarterfinal exit, which has never happened in TSM, who almost had never missed a final, do not want to miss another one, especially with Worlds looming and on the horizon.
There's really so many stories. We heard Dardoch talking about it at the start. Like, the way that they rewrite their stories on Echo Fox is by winning, right? So many people have talked about these guys and why they haven't been able to make finals, whether they're chokers, or they're toxic, or they're this, or they're that. They have rookies. Guys like Lost. He wants to just prove that he can have success on something other than Varus and, really establish himself as a strong bottom lane player for Echo Fox.
Looks like everyone just spreading out for now, though. Lost, ooh, gets some early gold, catches an axe as he does deal some decent damage to Mithy. It looks like they'll just move themselves back around. We'll get very similar looking lane matchups here.
Yeah, very similar, but Hauntzer has the press the attack. It will be the AD here, but he is starting the Doran's shield, so it's a defensive kind of AD. I'll scale up, get Blade of the Ruined King against this guy who's going to stack HP.
And one of the reasons you actually often have to go for a Doran's shield instead of a Doran's, blade and these sorts of things, more aggressive options in this matchup, is because with Comet, with the Vorpal spikes, you're actually getting hit and harassed pretty heavily from that. So you need to have at least a baseline level of sustain. You don't actually want to go for something other than press the attacks. You don't want to take that hit and damage in that way. So you're kind of going to take it from the Doran's shield and eventually probably build into a Blade of the Ruined King where you can start to ignore some of the Cho'Gath damage.
And man, that side Mortis there, that thing that just popped up for Beerson. 33-9 on Syndra out of 42
Pretty
games.
good.
He's won 33 of those. That is insane. That's that 75%, a little bit above that, but 7.0 KDA blows my mind. You go to your own op.gg, you're just like, oh, I played this champion a whole bunch, and oh man, 4.0 KDA, it's my best champion, or 5.0. 7.0 on a champion
in pro play
is crazy.
Well, it was here in the bot lane once again. It feels like Sven and Mithy with a bit of a different support matchup are feeling pretty confident in their 2v2. They hit level 2 quickly as well. Lost is trying to harass and take the minions as he can. But again, this is something that has continued to impress me about Sven and Mithy. Somehow they go even in their lanes, and then a lot of time they just somehow win. And given how defensively minded they are as a duo, I don't really know how they do it, but it's a pretty good asset to give any team, as their results have shown.
I mean, they're very good players, and they have been together for so long that you really do learn the ins and outs of how to play every single matchup as a duo, not just as an individual.
Looks like they're ganking Damonte in the mid here.
Could be struggles here. Damonte trying to run around, but
That's a long
Bjergsen looking
road.
to slow him down. Great flash, but the stun also connects. Unfortunately, Grig not running that way.
Yeah, they don't face check it because they don't have vision there. And because he's playing that side, it's kind of indicative. Dardoch is on that side of the jungle. You don't know if he's in that bush. And if a Kindred pops out after you've blown your scatter of the week, you can't really reinforce your Trundle.
Either way, very nice gank here from Grig. Basically just walks straight through to his next camp, wasting no time really at all. Doesn't even have to use any abilities, gets the flash. And now that does set up for a potentially very easy regank onto Damonte. You can look for something like a flash pillar that slows him down enough that you're almost guaranteed to get Scatter of the Week and go for that full combo.
Kind of a re-gifted gank there from game one as Dardoch was able to pick up Bjergsen. Look at the turret pressure is reversing. This is, I think, what we expect in this 2v2 matchup. But again, Sven holding even keel on CS is always good to see.
Yeah, and the fact that he's holding even and he's picking up all this CS means the scaling is still something that can affect them and make sure that he gets that raid played as soon as possible. Last game, the team fight around the Ocean Drake accelerated the scaling. He got the raid played very quickly, and it kind of pushed the Draven out of the game. So we need to see what they're able to do here. If Lost can actually get a cash in on the Draven, because that's all passive.
Yeah, really nice there from Mithy, but again, gonna get turned around a bit. Puts up the Spirit's Refuge, gets stunned on the other side by Trample. The Fox just take the trade and actually seem to win out there.
Yeah, it definitely did. It was a nice comp, but Smoothie peeling very, very effectively there for Lost, and that trample stun allowing a lot of extra damage to come out. And this is why you go to Orange Shield. You really can get poked pretty heavily with the Vorpal Spikes and the Comet in that early stage of this lane. And that is why you're usually seeing Kennen rush towards a Vamp Scepter, rush towards Lifesteal, because once you start ignoring that poke, then Cho'Gath really doesn't have a lot of threat onto you.
And something I'm noticing too is that Huni's maxing the W first. A lot of the times there's the E max for the wave clear, and sometimes the Q for like full AP poke build, but it's for the silence duration early on in the game, just to make it so that he's able to push, wave clear, and then he's gonna have enough mana, right?
For those of you not playing at home, Bjergsen is not level 6, so Damonte took a real bad trade, and Bjergsen is going to try and zone him off this wave.
Well, Syndra is interesting because she got a buff to her Q in 8.15. 8.16, Electrocute got quote-unquote, people were saying it's nerfed. It's nerfed in burst, but you get it every wave.
Smoothie in there again. Tondo is going to connect from Mithy, but Smoothie again able to get the follow-up stun. Oh no, that Spirit's Refuge was real nice. That is auto-attack based.
Yeah, very well timed. And you actually lose the buff too if you do expend that empowered auto there. It's not like you save it for later, so well timed from Mithy, and the trades back and forth have been pretty good. You see Lost is up a bit of farm, but it is not a massive lead, and I'm excited to see where he goes with his build this game. We saw he did go back into the Bloodthirster after dying by the dragon. Will he go straight Stormrazor and try to dominate? Because you kind of feel like he has to for this pick to really be worth it.
Yeah, the Stormrazor feels like you get that as your first item because it's weaker as your second item because it's that larger spike that you can get and just kind of force people out of the game with those trades. And it's still kind of quote-unquote the laning phase where the Kai'Sa's still facing against you instead of you're going against somebody like the Kennen later on.
Well, speaking of Kennen, Haunter here looking decent with a 10 CS lead, but Huni, it just seems like based on positioning, playing a lot differently in this game. There are two control wards on the left side here for TSM, and Huni does not want a repeat of last game.
Yeah, with the wave stacking up like this, it's always a scary moment because you're not sure, is the jungler coming up and getting ready to dive you? If you get dove on a wave like this without TP, your game is just often over as a top laner. We know that Trundle is not there, but he does not, so he's got to play it safe.
Yeah, he's got to play it safe. There's nothing he can really do. If the Trundle's there, then he's there is kind of what you have to say. If he has it, then he has it. Because Dardoch's on the opposite side of the map, and he can't really go to the top side with his red coming up.
Dardoch has also been very quiet this game as well, normally known for such aggression, but kind of farming it out towards 6 here on the Kindred. Grig pretty happy to just farm things out and not be interacted with in his own jungle, given how strong Kindred can be 1v1. But certainly a slower game. I think Echo Fox is trying to calm themselves down a bit after what happened in the first one.
Yeah, make sure nothing gets out of hand because they kind of gave over a large advantage in the first game off of that kind of ambitious Drake contest. And here on the bottom side, though, Dardoch is here, Mithy.
So is Grig, and Echo Fox might be baiting themselves into this because Trundle is standing on the outside.
Smoothie also gets a double pulverize there. Mithigo is going to try and get the Spirit's Refuge down. Sandicide is good, but Lost needs to find a few more autos. He will get one and force Sven to flash away.
That's a good trade there because the gank comes through. They get the flash onto Sven, and he's going to have to back here, and they'll shove this wave. It is a cannon minion wave, so they'll be able to deal a decent amount of damage. But Sven has teleport, so I think he'll TP back to lane here just so he doesn't miss anything.
Yeah, I think that will be definitely the call. So right back, and he is going to be going for Stormrazor first, very likely. You know, he has that BF, so will be the AD build. They feel that Syndra is enough of a magic damage threat and Trundle to erase some of that armor as well.
Yeah, and I guess it's because also the Kennen isn't really going to be in team fights. So if you went for the AP build, it's 2 AP threats in a team fight, and then the Cho'Gath kind of just has to build for the Kennen matchup. Maybe even ignore the Kennen matchup and just go for magic resistance.
Yeah, we'll see if he wants to go into something like an Abyssal Mask, which can help you out, just kind of sustain through. Having the Catalyst can be pretty nice in combination with your passive. Because once he has lifesteal, you really just become that punching bag unless your jungler comes. You can't actually harass him down with your comment anymore, and you just kind of have to sit there and take it.
And look at this, I mean, Dardoch is been pretty quiet going over, maybe starting that blue up. Gets the crab bounty instead, so we'll take that. But
it shouldn't be his, though. Yeah, it shouldn't be his crab, because they've had 2 control wards on the Pixel Brush and then the top lane, and using the pressure from Kennen. So it's kind of unfortunate for him. It's unlucky, but it's just the way that the waves work out and that the lanes work out.
And I think for Bjergsen, this is what fans expect when they see this kind of player. Someone who has been in so many finals, at Worlds, every time he's been able to. Won so many titles here domestically in North America. This is the kind of lane dominance on a signature pick that I think we expect. The Smoothie trying to slap down Wiki, but might disengage it in towards the turret. Smoothie forced to pop Unbreakable Will.
Yeah, really not on the same page there with Lost. I mean, Smoothie goes in, Lost is still just farming, and then realizes that the fight is being committed to, throws out his ultimate. You need to have Lost getting ready to auto as the combo goes in, and that was pretty poorly coordinated from Echo Fox, and the fact that Smoothie's now down an ultimate with a long early game cooldown means they probably can't go for it again for a while.
Yeah, and also Mithy, I think it's kind of hard to appreciate how well he's using the Spirit's Refuge. He's placing his Q appropriately, because a lot of people just pull it through for the slow, go for damage. He's being very defensive here and saying that, Sven, you're going to 2v1, I'm basically going to give you invulnerability against Lost. And what he did is he blocked Smoothie's stun there. Smoothie went for the trample stun. It was blocked as soon as Sven was walking through the Spirit's Refuge and didn't get stunned so that the extra damage could come through.
Well, Demonte again back here, but has to be careful. Does have Merc Treads and charging up the tier, but Bjergsen continuing pretty dominant look here in the mid lane.
Lost Dardoch.
Returns to bot side. Dardoch wants to try and farm through bot here.
Lost looks like he's trying to bait a little bit. I think he wants Mithy to go forward onto him.
Yeah, wants him to think that he's roaming, but also this is going to push towards them. Here comes Grig.
Oh, surprise!
Onto him.
There's a Trundle here, so now Dardoch gonna force it.
Round ward.
Again goes in for it. There's the roam up over. Demonte does roam down, but the ult from Mithy will protect their jungler.
A good bit of pressure here, again, from Echo Fox. They do get a flash out, they get the stand united, but they're not getting kills. They're not getting more than that, so we'll see if they can actually come down and continue this pressure, because now Dardoch should have a tempo advantage, knows Trundle is down a flash, and we'll actually spot him here.
Yep. Kind of push him away, and that's also another tempo advantage because it delays his back, keeps you out on the map, gives you an opportunity to go for this Drake.
Nice dive here from Fox again, playing a much more patient style of game, it feels like. Mithy is going to check out the area, so he does know what Fox are up to. Bjergsen also is available for a potential roam.
Both top laners don't have TP this time around, so this should likely be Echo Fox's Dragon. Monster has it very soon, though, so either way, it's going to be Echo Fox Dragon, so that is what they get from the pressure, and that is nice to them.
Yeah, this time, make sure that Monster doesn't have teleport. Because last time, I kind of don't blame them for what they did, because their bottom lane had just had such pressure. Why wouldn't you play off that pressure? It was just they didn't take into account, teleport. Another great Spirit's Refuge to block.
Usually stand aside though, but like you said, Mithy able to defend it nicely as Grig going to try and trade here and start up the Rift Herald.
It's his strong side of the map, so playing to that objective and kind of trading them is good. This may actually give Dardoch, I believe, another stack, because he got the Scuttle's on the bottom side, but I don't think he's getting it.
Yeah, Honey does actually spot them, and there's multiple members coming up. So Dardoch and Demonte moving up. They may be a fight here. Remember, Feast could be useful, but it's on cooldown.
Looking 3v3, there's Haunter with the defensive ultimate, but Grig is going to get forced away now, rooted in place. He's going to try and take him down, but he smites them off as Bjergsen. He's going to roam over. First blood with the Haunter, but Demonte gets the kill on Grig just at the other side. Now Dardoch is trying to force away on Haunter. Pops the Lantern Spire at the very last second, but Bjergsen is so strong. He'll get the kill, but Demonte is able to get another one there as well. Flash auto takes down Svern in the 2v2, and still Bjergsen and Demonte battling it out, but Demonte, he's got no flash. He's barely got any mana to speak of. He's just trying to dance around back into the brush, and TSM, I'm not sure they can chase. Bjergsen with a flash.
He
not
might
going to
go
look
for this. We'll see. He's still looking, but he does decide not to go for it. Either way, Echo Fox 3 for 2 across the map as action explodes everywhere. Lost will get this turret, and we'll see if Smoothie wants to give over the solo gold. They will finish it off, and he got the cash in. He gets the turret. That is such a huge infusion of gold, and they want to go for this because the flash is down on Grig.
Exactly. They go after Grig. He's forced to smite it. They don't even get the Rift Herald there. Monster's just pumping damage into Huni, but then this right here, the ultimate from Dardoch, kind of baiting them in the false sense of security that they're going to finish it off. that uses the cooldown from Haunter there. Haunter has to now stay in it and commit, and they basically had the mid laners trade kills there.
And back here on the bottom side, they actually just decide, hey, we could just dive this straight up.
He has ultimate again.
This time, they were actually very well coordinated with it. The Spirit's Refuge wasn't there to block, and Lost was doing damage immediately at the start. They backed off, but Sven then decides to chase in, underestimating the Draven damage. There was no Spirit's Refuge. He doesn't have heal, so he kind of got heal baited a little bit there by Lost, saving it for the right time.
And then the Conqueror proc actually threw off his damage because he E'd forward, Sven did, and then he had it turned around on him as the Conqueror came up there from Lost, who buys the Storm Razor first. And Zale, they're calling out these item builds left and right, like, oh, it's going to be Storm Razor Kaisa, Storm Razor first to Draven. You're nailing it today, dude.
Fox also with the changes are actually going to get the Rift Herald after that engage, and I think Lost, you can maybe see why they wanted to pick this sort of lane. TSM will keep their duo in the bot side for now, but Lost is, again, a player that is certainly trying to prove himself here in the league.
And he's trying to prove himself on Echo Fox, who has Dardoch and Huni, basically you would say number 1 and 2 carries for themselves, and even in their role in terms of who has the potential to carry and flat out 1v9 a game, it's usually these two guys.
Straight in there, jumps on a Haunter, who's
No.
the ulti. Mithy also here, lands a spike down, and Dardoch. That's a classic, unfortunately for him.
Yeah, it does get punished a little bit there, but he did at least get the mark before going
Base
down.
created.
And top lane will get a turret here, so Huni's going to have to back off. But you have to say, in game 2, at least so far, Echo Fox's bottom lane counterpick to Draven has worked out. They get the 2v2 kill, they get the first turret, and they are off to a pretty solid start.
They just have to kind of worry about what's going to happen from this Syndra later.
Behind
because-
Huni.
Greg, nice dodge.
And there's Sven too.
Killer's up, Sven here. It's be an easy kill. Huni, he tried not to overextend, but this time he picks the wrong avenue, and Greg is able to punish him.
Yeah, kind of greedy there from Huni. No vision on the bottom side. You can see double pink wards for TSM. He wants to push out the wave. Does get punished.
But now it's time to push this top turret, get 3 people up here from Echo Fox, at least deal maybe some damage to it. But no, it's just a wave clear on it, because you saw 2 people bottom, potentially 3. They just think the rotation would come out too soon.
Yeah, some pretty important item completions coming through on both sides. The Blade of Rune King always going to be so big there for Haunter, and Huni certainly falling behind as far as the farm is concerned. That is somewhat expected, but giving up a bit of a needless death there is going to hurt him in kind of getting to this stage where he can scale up and can be a teamfight monster. Because we never really saw Huni get to that last game, despite the fact that he was kind of this late game Cho'Gath. He seemed like he was favored.
Yeah, he was basically just getting shredded through because he was building HP. They had all of this plasma damage that did missing HP over and over again, and with all that attack speed. So the build was correct for Sven, and now he's going to go up against somebody who has that Blade of Rune King.
Yeah, and he's going up against a Trundle, right? So that just makes it even harder. You're a Cho'Gath that's behind against tons of high damage sources here, and we'll see if he can kind of hold on and scale up. Red buff cannon.
Gives the spike for Haunter, getting
red
down to
buff.
50% HP. Pretty simple stuff there.
The red buff is so good because it's going to give him that HP regen too, and he got it off of Dardoch, who was going for that invade. And having this split push means a lot for him.
Yeah, it's kind of like a little Frozen Mount and a Warmog staple together, which turns out pretty good in a 1v1.
On a cannon.
As Dardoch does have the Rift Herald still, I believe, so he's able to maybe channel that and give Echo Fox another turret lead here in this game.
Yeah, I think the plan is clear out the mid, use the Rift Herald soon, and then go for that Mountain Drake. But if they don't have the wave or the pressure here, vision control, they'll just probably hold on to it for later. But I think this Mountain Drake is really what Echo Fox is trying to set up for here.
It's going to be tough, though, because just like how it went wrong in the first game, this time, Haunter does have TP, Huni does not, right? So they have to be very cognizant about that TP disadvantage. And Huni, you can see, is playing so far back because he doesn't know if he's about to get dove. He's trying to wave clear from range, but they are kind of bleeding out this turret damage.
Yeah, if you think the turret is going to die and you want the Mountain Drake, start walking Huni there now.
Well, Huni is actually walking, so another nice prediction there. Huni's going to book it down mid lane with the Cloud help and try and get there in time for this fight. Dardoch over the back of the pit. Fox is trying to start this really quickly.
Yeah, they're right onto it. I mean, Huni's walking down. Haunter will finish the turret, but he could join now. Looks like the call is just continue to push it, take that turret trade. Sven is farming in the bottom lane, and they're just going to shove up here in the top side because no one is there to answer.
Yep, and here comes the Rift Herald too to continue pushing, because you have to say, if Haunter TP's in, Huni gets TP advantage for the next 5-6 minutes, so they don't want to sacrifice that. A lot of the threat from the Kennen is that he can split push, and he can threaten joining a team fight.
Great from Smoothie as well. Make sure to threaten another potential dive, so TSM will lose their outer ring before Fox is able to, but Almost 18 minutes through. Look how close this game is. Fox were after a decent lead, but TSM did a nice job reacting and trading. This time, Fox are going to kind of playing more of TSM's game.
Yeah, they are a little bit here. You know, it is back-to-back Cho'Gath games here for Huni. They are playing kind of this, front line, tank it up style where they are looking more for team fighting. TSM is the ones that are really going to want to spread the map and split push. AD can join for team fights, but generally is much less effective there.
Yeah, and it looks like he's going for Frozen Mallet next, so he's pretty much committing completely to the split push. I wonder if this is a build that's eventually going to incorporate, we've seen Phantom Dancers in these builds, we've seen Rage Blades for the W just to get it faster and faster. But this is one where it's all about that harass, the press the attack, and just getting turrets slowly. But I think he's going to start going up against Damonte now, who has a lot of those kills. He's got 2 of the 3 on the team. He's actually been doing quite well in this matchup, and he has teleport himself. So the 1-3-1 I think is a little stronger from Echo Fox. TSM have more of a 4-1, and look at that, Smoothie with the collapse forces the flash.
Nicely done. Does get the flash out there, and now he's going to have to play a lot more safely. And I think it's an intelligent swap. Get Huni away from this cannon, allow him to get some farm, allow him to get some levels, and start putting Damonte, your strong member, as you were saying, to really pressure this guy. Because especially if Dardoch comes in, Damonte has the lockdown. They will have the damage to go.
Speaking of throwing Damonte in there, Monster, he's got ulti.
He's going in, but there's Damonte flash through. Good ult there from Mithy. He's actually enough to save Haunter. Smoothie also here, but Grig in defense there for TSM means it looks like just some turret pressure will have to be the consolation.
They are pushing up mid lane here, though, with Lost. Huni is pushing out the bottom lane. So Echo Fox trying to be proactive across the map. They do now have to be careful, though, because you're missing multiple members on this bottom side means it's time to back off.
Yeah, and the fact that you have to swap kind of the map state right now. Go for the Baron setup. It's about to come up. When 20 minutes hits, everybody swaps the map. Bottom is where you're going to put your TPs. Top side is where you're going to put the rest of your team / mid and make sure that you can at least have control of that area and play around it. Because there's no Drake to play for. You're playing for that neutral objective up there. And we've been saying that Damonte is kind of the strong member here for Echo Fox, which is something that you wouldn't think you'd be saying when he came in. He's playing up against Bjergsen, this guy who has multiple MVPs, been to so many finals. He's basically the most decorated NALCS player, and he's going toe-to-toe against an NA mid.
I think both the youngins actually are playing against 2 extremely strong Danish players, which is just a coincidence, but they've won so many titles in their respective leagues. I think for Lost to also be in a good position to try and carry here with his 2 items and the counterpick finally working out a little more. Echo Fox are going to proving that the talent they have brought in to try and get to finals and win the split is now on the table. Can they do it against such experienced players?
And the same thing for TSM, because we talk about experienced players across the board, except Grig. This is his first playoffs.
Yeah.
He has not been in playoffs before. This is the first time he gets to have a showing here. And so far, it's been funny because you don't really talk about him as being a new player to playoffs, because he's actually looked pretty seasoned / he doesn't really mess up or throw games off. So he's been really consistent for TSM. He's just upping the consistency level that he's had to be consistently a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, especially in those big moments. His smites have been on point, and here comes in that TP. They're looking for a flank.
Damonte is looking for something here. It's actually Huni. Never mind that. Smoothie with a combo. Bjergsen, goodbye. Dardoch able to take him down, and now Haunter getting chased by the rest of Huni. He wants blood. Righteous scoring flash forward. There's the portal in. Haunter about to transform. His hop's not going to go very far. He goes down as well.
They're going right for Baron. It's 21 minutes in. They have the Mountain Dragon. They still have Feast on Huni, and they're trying to blow this game wide open.
Looking good here, but now Grig, he's stolen a lot this split. Mithy also around the side. Maybe going to try something here. Grig, he's going to go. Oh, you're kidding me!
Huni mistimes the Feast there, and Echo Fox lose the Baron to Grig in a 5v3 with Cho'Gath. That is a backbreaker for Echo Fox.
We were literally just talking about how Grig does not feel like it's his first playoffs. The nerves of steel to flash in, throw down against a Cho'Gath. And of all things is insanity.
And understandably, it's time for an Ace of Predator replay, boys.
Yeah, here it is one more time. Smoothie with the great engage. Flash, headbutt, pull right onto Bjergsen. He is gone. That was very nice from Echo Fox. And then Huni, he can make this flash knowing that there is no flash available on Haunter. They chase him down. It's 5v3. Great. Echo Fox should get a free Baron, but then from here, you have to remember, there's no smite on Kindred. It actually looked like he used it on the Scuttle. So that was a bit of a poor decision there from Dardoch. And it's up to the Feast. Down to 68 when Grig flashes in and smites it.
That even went down to 200. That was a way off Feast there from Huni.
I mean, that is very poorly done from Huni, from Echo Fox. And I am pretty sure that that smite was just on the Scuttle. It was either on the Scuttle or the Cannon. Either way, Dardoch should not have actually used that. And especially if you have that in combination, then you can do your smite feast combo at like almost 2,000. And it becomes so impossible to steal. So Echo Fox certainly with some critical mistakes there. That could have been the backbreaking move. Instead, it's TSM still right in it.
Yeah, he did use it on the Kennen there.
Yeah.
Even though Kennen was pretty much dead to rights.
He was. I mean, he's locked down. He is completely isolated.
Smoothie
They're going to want back.
decides not to Hex Slash over the wall. TSM again trying to pressure, but Echo Fox really wants to outbreak Smoothie. Right to the backside, finds 3 with a Pulverize. But TSM just ward them off.
Yeah, and TSM, you cannot give a team like this in playoffs any sort of room. You cannot make mistakes like that in the playoffs when you want to go to Worlds, when you want to win North America. That's just something that you have a Cho'Gath, you have the Smite. You can't give them that type of wiggle room.
Especially when we just watched what it looks like when Sven gets the late game on the Kalista.
What is Sven doing there?
Warning.
Nice ult there from Dardoch, but they ported everybody in. Sven actually looks like he's baiting the rest of the side. Fox there looking to go down. A Smoothie will fall to Greg. Demonte able to get out of there. TSM knew what they were doing the entire time.
Yeah, TSM with Sven late game on this Kai'Sa. He has been looking monstrous. He has the self shield with his ultimate. He has the Stand United shield that has so much to burst through. If you cannot kill him instantly, you will not be killing him at all. TSM coming out on top in another fight.
And now the gold, even the Drakes about to have one Mountain Drake apiece. There's still some time left on that Baron buff for TSM, but the game state, it was about to swing into Echo Fox's favor off of that mid lane fight that Smoothie had set up with the headbutt pull on Bjergsen, and then it just all gets taken away from Greg. Greg, the least experienced member on TSM.
Yeah, here it is one more time. They go in with the Realm Warp, but look at these shields from Sven. There's a Stand United, and then ult over to the side. They were not even remotely close to taking him down. They didn't even break the shields. They expired, so Echo Fox in full retreat. Do lose a member, but they're trying to be proactive still. They're trying to look for those plays, despite the fact that they knew they really gave TSM more than they should have.
Yeah, like the proactive Realm Warp into it with 4 people. You think it's a big party portal, but then immediately Dardoch has to throw down the ultimate. You're not killing anybody in that. And all of that damage that's coming through from Bjergsen, Sven gets to go ahead and pump damage into people during that time. It just means that Echo Fox, we still have the rise from Demonte with a really good scoreline right now, really good CS, but then Lost, this champion does fall off a bit here, especially in comparison to the Kai'Sa.
I think problem becomes Fox are a team that, with their established members, can be pretty volatile at times. This is a big test for Fox, not just in-game, but mentally as well. Lost and Demonte will be pushed to their limits against one of the league's most seasoned organizations.
I mean, it's easy to forget that Lost and Smoothie just started playing on the main roster, what, 3 weeks ago? You know, it hasn't been too long. TSM has been building all season with this roster and, you know, kind of reaching that crescendo at the right time. You know, Bjergsen talked about it, 5-1 in their last 6 of the regular season. But that doesn't always guarantee you success because we have to remember, they won 9 of their last 10 before getting swept out by Clutch.
Yeah, and then they just said, let's bring in Weldon once again. Let's make sure that we're all gelling together. All 4 of the members had worked with him previously, and Greg was the only one that kind of needed to step up and make his voice known on the team. It seems they've empowered him. Even that one play that we showed where he was talking to Bjergsen saying Zilean needs to back now and defend the base, being more authoritative with his pressure. And so TSM, we've said multiple times that they'll start falling behind early, but their late game is where they shine. It hasn't been those early proactive plays. So now the game definitely in a state now where it's later, they have that scaling advantage, and that they'll be able to potentially take over here. So Fox have to keep the pressure on.
Yep, with Baron dropping off, the game has reset some. It's back up in a minute 50. As Dardoch and Huni trying to get some damage done here to that tier 2, but TSM rotate in. Pretty simple stuff for them to make sure that doesn't happen. And we saw Fox use their global pressure very well in the last game. We'll see if they can get the same thing done. But TSM have just felt like they're reading every move that Fox are going for here. They're I mean, they are a good defensive team. And I think part of the reason is, again, partly experience, but also just how well they're able to read the map and say, you know what, we know you're going to do this. We're there in position now. And eventually they just kind of grind you out of the game.
Yeah, they have so much confidence in their carries for the late game, in the fact that Bjergsen and Sven will perform in those late game team fights, because those guys have done it for so many years and have played at that high level for so many years. But, you know, I don't think it's a foregone conclusion in the late game, because while TSM has a scaling advantage on the Kai'Sa, you still have an AD cannon on your team in comparison to that Cho'Gath, who should have more of an effectiveness in the team fight.
Yeah, and even outside of the team fight, the fact that the cannon will be able to just keep pressure in the side lane, having side lane control later in the game means so much because it affects all 5 members of the enemy team in terms of how they have to respond to it. Right now, Kennen is catching the wave. He'll push out another. Cho'Gath is running up to join, so he doesn't have to use TP, and that's Baron in 35 seconds.
Nice bit of pressure though. Fox threatens Ven on the left side of the map, and he TP's out of there. Grig also back away. Baron is up in 25 seconds, so Grig should be able to make it back. Dardoch though just kind of hopping out of the way. Puts a Ghost Porry down, but here's Bjergsen. Blue Trinket down, stun, not gonna land.
Oh, that is scary, because if that hits, you might just get one combo, honestly, in that Bjergsen ultimate.
Yeah, he's had to think about that, where he's like, Merc treads, and let's go Black Cleaver too. But it looks like he's going to go for maybe Blade of the Ruined King next. So that he'll have a little bit more in terms of vamp, but that's not going to give him too much defense. I wonder if there'll be a QSS later on, because you see Damonte's thought about it with the Banshees.
Yeah, definitely the case. I also feel like he just thinks he needs to do damage in these team fights for him to win, right? So Blade of the Ruined King certainly does make you an additional threat, and they would have a lot of damage threats on this team if he can really kind of scale up in that regard. So we'll see how they want to play it out. With those Merc Treads, you can somewhat rely on your ultimate, but if TSM coordinate perfectly and you die before that Lamb's Spike comes out, it can cost you a game.
Understandably, you can see how much attention is being paid around Baron, though. That was 2 global Van's TP and Damonte's ult, but now the TP in from Fox.
Here we go again.
All right, Grig, basically in the same spot as last time. Fox do not want that to repeat. Smoothie's like,
no.
Get out of there, get out of there. Feast down the Baron, Echo Fox. No, we're going to try and take over the team fight, but here's Sven. We're going to shred down the front side of Fox. Smoothie almost falls on the Lance Spite. Going to keep him alive. Sven gets silenced. He dashes out, though, with the Killer Instinct as Dardoch ate a big chunk of damage. Bjergsen again still fighting as Damonte, and Haunter will be lost by the TSM top lane, but Sven flashing in, gets silenced, he's dead! That's a double kill there for Damonte. Bjergsen does get a kill on the other side. With Fox able to get that, it's only Grig left now.
And they can push top lane, they have the Baron, they have the wave. If they stop Grig, these are long res timers. They can knock down this inhibitor.
And that was just perfect skirmishing from Echo Fox. The fact that Smoothie stayed alive, they all kind of grouped up on the other side of the wall and said, this fight is not over, we are not out of it, and then they jump onto the back line when they're chasing down Damonte.
Talked about Fox always looking good when scrapping. That was a scrap around the Baron pit. Fox should be able to get at least this top inhibitor turret. The respawns are coming, they're looking to stay for this inhib.
Yeah, and Dardoch is pushing mid, so they'll at least get this middle tier 2 simultaneously. The Dragon is up, there's a mark for him to take. Let's get that for Dardoch there, sitting at 6 stacks as he takes this one.
So much gold in their pockets here now, too. Almost, there's like 10,000 plus gold for them to spend as they're going back to base, and here it's going to be one more time. Echo Fox needed this one, even just for the confidence. You can see Smoothie completely denying Grig's entrance to the pit. And then Smoothie, so low on HP. Look at the perfectly timed Lambda Spite. They invested so much on trying to burn down Alistar through his ultimate.
Yeah, and right here, I love this part, where Dardoch and Smoothie look like they're out of the fight. They're gone. They go over the wall, but then they say, no, wait. Bjergsen goes too far forward. They catch him. Dardoch flashes back in, and so does Lost to get in there.
And it works out. Fox with a pretty big gold lead. A lot of damage done by Damonte, who we were looking for to kind of excel in these fights. And now TSM are running out of things to defend as Fox are quickly pushing the bot lane.
Yeah, they have that top inhibitor down, so this allows them to go to the opposite side of the map. Ocean Drake is going to be taken here for them too, so they'll have that extra regen as they siege.
And we have to give a lot of credit to Damonte. I mean, he's been playing the side lanes well. He's 5-0-4 up against Bjergsen, who had counterpick. Historically the most dominant player in NALCS history. And he is a rookie, and he is performing this well. So really stepping up here when Echo Fox needed it.
Yeah, came in for Phoenix halfway through the split, got a little bit of a debut of him at like Rift Rivals, and then afterwards was back and forth. And they said, actually, we are going with Damonte, who I remember in Academy had a really great showing, called him Demonster one time because of the plays that he was pulling off. And Rise is one of those champions where he shows he has that mechanical prowess. And there was that conversation of, are these NA mids starting to come up? Like there's Cobelter, there's Golden Glue, and then you have Damonte coming up as well. Is he like that one that's going to be able to contest? Because it's always been an issue. People have imported their mid laners ever since Bjergsen came on the scene to try and contest him. And if somebody like Damonte, fresh out of NA solo queue, can do that, then it's looking better and better.
Yeah, and it really is impressive for Echo Fox that Uni, who has really been their franchise player, that they can compete and win games when he is not playing his best, when he is not, carrying the team. And that's how people thought Echo Fox would succeed.
He's frankly having a bad day. He has the flu. He's sick. If they're able to actually win when he's in pretty much his worst condition that he has been on stage, then absolutely that bodes well for the team.
Well, you can see still the pressure continuing now for Fox. They know they're pretty close to sealing it shut on this game. Damonte has been just slowly grinding down the mid turret. Fox again playing it patient, something that they've been kind of criticized for in the past when they haven't done it.
Yeah, supers are crashing in the top now. TSM will likely have to respond soon. So Echo Fox closing in.
Also maybe looking for a flank here, but there's again Smoothie gonna jump in and try and initiate Dardoch. Gonna force Mithy's W out. And again, just slowly walk forward here. Dardoch looking to play aggressive. He's so strong on this Kindred. Ult out from Lost, looks to snipe Mithy, but he can't quite grab it. Inhibit's forfeit in mid lane though. And maybe Huni even tanks this up. Wave isn't quite in the position, but Fox, again, just being patient, not overstepping their boundaries this time.
Yeah, they have the wave. They can continue this shove if they want to, but also might be worth just resetting at this point. They have a lot of gold in their pockets. They are sticking around for now, though, and looking to get this third and final inhibitor down.
Well, there's Huni again, frontlining, feeling a lot more confident in this game. TSM, they're still trying to fight. They know they have to protect this last tower.
And a lot of that is that this isn't that AP Kai'Sa. It doesn't do that immense amount of damage with the Plasma stacks over and over and over again, right? Plasma has that AP ratio that you need to tap into, and he hasn't built any of that aside from just the Rage Blade.
Yeah, and Monster isn't able to sit in those side lanes. They're being pressured too heavily. He can't get that 1v1 that he is built for with this Rage Blade, with the Blade of the Rune King. You're supposed to be sitting there wailing on Huni, chipping him down. In a 5v5 fight, you do not have the time. You are very squishy and can get absolutely shredded by someone like Damonte or Lost.
I see assist ping there from TSM onto the next marked Kindred camp. That would be Damonte's 8th stack if he was able to grab it, but it looks like after a very hefty Baron power play, Fox are just going to reset things and try and close out the game. And Damonte feeling confident in this playoff game because he just bought a Magi's.
Yeah, I saw the 10-stack Dark Seal, and I was like, I don't know if he's going to do it or not, but the Magi's coming through. There are definitely better items. You can buy the Spellbinder here for Rise, which is fantastic, but he's saying, we're going to just close this one out with style.
Yeah, exactly. If you are confident that he can close out the game right now, he buys up that Sorcery Potion, you buy up that Magi's, and he is going to have a ton of AP, a ton of power immediately, and they're going to look for one final fight.
Yeah, and Dardoch now has the QSS that we talked about earlier to make sure that he just does not get blown up immediately by Bjergsen in the CC, and then he has some form of counterplay to it. But there is the item spike to the Infinity Edge for Sven simultaneously. So inhibitor respawns, minute on Baron, 2 minutes on Elder. This is where the teams are frantically talking about exactly what they're going to do. And Damonte's caught.
Rumwolf's kind of out of there, but now has to run through the jungle again. Bounce Mithy tags him, gets the move speed and the shield. Haunter over the top of the blast plant for Damonte. But the other get out. Roots him off again. He's trying to fight it. Gonna kite out of there. Almost gets the kill onto Haunter. Foxtail they'll trade. They'll take top in him.
Yeah, really well done by Damonte, surviving so long there and drawing in so much pressure from TSM. They do get an inhibitor down. The Elder is up soon, and so is the Baron, though. So this is a timing that TSM can play around. They could rush the Baron.
Yeah, but that's why Echo Fox are all sitting in this bush saying, you have to face check us. There's a TP on Damonte. If they are not at the Baron at spawn, they're not going to be able to take it on TSM.
Smoothie has flash. They may look for Sven here. We'll see if they make the call to go for the engage.
TSM has no vision. Finally spot them with the blue trinket. Stun lands only onto Huni. Greg is going to move in and force the flash. Smoothie there gets the blast code. Actually moves it back out. Smoothie though going to get a double pull, but it's only on the front line. Huni going to try and find the pick, but he ruptures two in the middle. There's Bjergsen with a stun. Does get Dardoch low, but holds onto the ulti for now. Smoothie forced a flash. Dardoch burns his ulti. TSM corralling Fox back towards their own side of the map, and Huni moves in. Feasts on Haunter and takes him down.
Damonte has TP. He's up in 1 second. He's going to TP into this fight.
He's TPing on the bottom side. They're trying to corral them now. Echo Fox doesn't want them back to the base. Damonte's in. He gets Greg.
He gets it. They take down the jungler. They know if they win the fight, then that's going to be game. Dardoch gets Bjergsen. Now Mithy and Sven have to fight it out, but this duo will be crushed. Echo Fox will even things up against TSM.
And what a game from Echo Fox. Despite the Baron steal, they stay confident, they stay calm and composed. They get the next one, and they tie us all up.
They're going to take down the Nexus turret. Respect is earned, and this time, Fox earn it. We have a series, boys and girls. Echo Fox able to take the second one.
Echo Fox learning from the mistakes from last game. Less of Huni getting caught out in the side, more of not over-rotating their pressure when they had the Baron. Because that Baron that they got, the one at the end there, that wasn't stolen, that was one where, how did they even get in that position? They caught TSM out of position, and they did that even in the